Welcome to the Bad Girls on Business, the podcast that makes business more fun so you want to do more of it. Here are your hostesses with the mostesses, Jenny Bellinger, Virginia Muskies, and Michelle Nedelec.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Bad Girls on Business podcast. I'm Virginia Muskies, the referral diva, and I am here with my sisters, Ms. Michelle Nedelec, your mistress in business, and the direct sales dom, Jenny Bellinger. We're here to give you a whole bunch of business savvy with a little bit of sass. And today we are here with Bill Prater. It is such an exciting honor to have you, Bill, here on the show because your connections have really made a huge difference in my business, but we'll talk about that. Just to let everybody know a little bit about Bill, he earned his reputation as America's business alchemist by helping business owners and entrepreneurs break free of inertia and accelerate into the future they dream of. He loves nothing better than sharing what he has learned by working with those who are dissatisfied with the status quo and eager to transform themselves and their business. He created Scaleology and the Business Mastery System as the core foundational principles of dynamic and continuous business growth. A typical client of his sees their company rising to a position of pre-eminence and is never satisfied with just getting to the next level. So, Bill Prater, welcome to the Bad Girls on Business podcast.
I am so happy and delighted to be here with the three of you.
It's a little bit of a unique format, I think. I think we're the only podcast with this many hostesses.
Hey, we keep it entertaining.
You should be unique. Totally in favor of uniqueness.
Amen, right? How do you get to preeminent if not through uniqueness?
Exactly.
So
a lot of people they think differently than what you just said, but that is the path.
That is the path. So listen, I'm going to turn this over a little bit to our mistress in business to start off the conversation, since what you do is in her wheelhouse. And then I think, Michelle, so I'm going to let you take the lead on this one, and Jenny and I will just chime in with some snark when it's appropriate.
Okay, good.
So I don't mind saying you're talking my language. And Bill, if we start the show off, right, I'm going to say you made me wet by saying you're into Scaleology. So tell me more about Scaleology, because that is awesome.
Well, first off, it's really interesting that if you want to get a little R behind something, you just invent a word. So I invented the word. Well, yeah, and lo and behold, now I got a registered trademark. It's kind of like, what's the value of being a bestseller? Well, I just talked to a friend of mine who's going to pay $50,000 to get there. So invent a word. And I guess the lesson in that is, and we brushed on that a little bit earlier, and that is just be unique. Now, turns out that what I do for a living and have done for the last couple of decades is help certain businesses scale pretty dramatically. And I say certain because it takes some raw ingredients in order to get positioned to do that sort of thing. But that's where the term Scaleology come from. And it's really a model or a framework around which I build the other sorts of things that I do.
Nice. So what are your ingredients for an ideal corporation or company?
So great question about the corporation or company. So I have never been a fan of trying to figure out how to deal with a corporation. When I say corporation, what I mean is a publicly traded company. So my avatar is absolutely a business owner. Now, sometimes there's a couple of people involved, but usually if it's a business owner. And from my standpoint, you need to have somebody that absolutely has a great deal more than their skin in the game, if you will. They have their entire being in their game. They've invested their soul in their business. So they're indistinguishable. The people don't really have a dividing line between their business and personal life. It's all blended together. Their vacations are consumed with strategic discussions with their mate.
And it's tax write-off then. I highly encourage that lifestyle. I'm sorry.
That's that's how every Sunday morning breakfast goes in my world. Oh, it's our strategic planning meeting, at Denny's, at the Pancake House, at IHOP.
Hawaii.
Hawaii. Yeah.
I used to get pushback from my wife about that. She'd say, it's just the two of us. And I'd say, you're the one that gives me all the input and criticism.
Clearly, you're a board member.
We're on the clock.
That is awesome. So what kind of companies do you like to work with? Are they service companies, bricks and mortar?
Well, my background is that I've been an entrepreneur and a business owner for a long time. I've bought, founded, and sold many companies personally, and the major one that I used to have, out of which came the Scaleology concepts and so forth, is I had an investment banking firm. So envision a bank. So a bank doesn't say, please don't come in the front door if you own a chiropractic company. Please don't come in the door if you got a construction company. So we pretty much dealt with all sorts of small to medium-sized businesses. And so I built that business. We had our banking operations in Seattle. We had 99% of my employees were on Wall Street. You have to be on Wall Street if you're in an investment banking business. And so we had all sorts of clients, if you will. When I sold that business, I went into helping literally the same clients, and they were all over the ballpark, from fertilizer manufacturers to engineering firms to consulting practices to construction companies to franchisors and franchisees. It was a long list. And so what I found out was, at the highest level of a company, what I mean by that is at the owner, senior management level, if you're going to be extraordinary or preeminent or number one, you need to act like the other people who are extraordinary or preeminent or number one, and not like the rest of your own industry. The rest of your own industry is a recipe. The best practices of your own industry is a recipe for mediocrity.
Yeah, that's why it's called the standard. You're now standard just like everybody else. Well, who cares about standard?
That's exactly right. You nailed it.
And I'm curious too about the notion of preeminence. So how do you define preeminence, and what are the stepping stones to going from, boring to badass?
So boring to badass. Okay, great. That's a great point, because everybody has sort of the arena that they're in. So if you think about, I don't know this for a fact, but I'm thinking that Elon Musk, Tesla, there's a large number of countries that he can sell his cars in. So he's got a vision, let's call it global. And so he's got the preeminent electric car company on the planet, right? Would you agree? So, but you can also be preeminent in Brooklyn, New York. So geographically, you just pick your geography. If you're in kindergarten, you might as well be preeminent in kindergarten. There's no value in thinking, gee, if only I could be there. You've got that label. So there's no value in saying, I want to be preeminent in the United States if you've got a 3-chair salon and you're in Oakland, California. Just be preeminent in Oakland, California.
So what does that mean? So I'm a 3-chair salon, or, a direct sales business coach, right? What are the real gritty characteristics of people that when you look at them, you're like, that has preeminence written all over it?
It's kind of the flip of what you just teed up, Virginia, and that would be that if you and or your clients label themselves in a manner like that, so they would say, I'm a beauty salon owner. Well, you've already collapsed all the differences and you've shrunk yourself into this corner called, I'm just a regular, ordinary salon owner. But if she were to say instead, or he were to say instead, we're known for orange hair colors, that's probably going to get you close to preeminence, because not everybody specializes there, right, Michelle?
Yeah, no. And I think too, those kinds of things really help pique people's interest. They go, how do you have enough business to only focus on that one thing? So for you use the example of orange hair color, it could be fashion hair colors, right? Because I got the little peekaboos there going. It's understanding that then it causes people to, I guess, ask the question, how do you have enough business to do that?
Well, well, first, may I answer another question first and then get to that one? So the other question would be, and the answer is, the question and the answer is, if you're able to define your niche narrow, so if you said something like, our business colors one-legged women's hair orange. So if you say something like that, the person you're talking to their brain's going to go, who do I know? Who do I know? Who do I know? Gee, I know somebody that likes to color her hair, but it's not always orange. Would that work? Yeah, well, let me talk to her. So, but if you just say, I own a beauty salon, nobody's going to say, hey, I know somebody who's a beauty salon goer. It doesn't happen like that. So you narrow your message to attract, to open people's mind to say, well, do you do the tints too? And how about lavender? Well, do you actually wash hair? Yeah, we do those things. Yeah, we do those. But what we like to do is before we finish, we like to hide a little coloring someplace. So our customer has to go look for it or something. I'm just inventing these things randomly. But the point is, far too many people get into this concept of copycatism. You cannot become preeminent being a copycat because you at least got one other person there. But if you're uniquely position yourself in your whatever the niche is, you can rapidly get the preeminence. And once you get the preeminence, then you can expand. Now, back to Elon Musk. Do any of you remember what the initial strategy was?
Fail 5 times before PayPal.
Well, jumping past that, so thinking about Tesla, do you remember what car was sold first?
No.
The $175,000 sports car. So today he's selling, I don't know what those cars cost, the Model 3 or whatever it's called, 35,000 or something. So, but the point is that he established an outrageous automobile at the beginning to attract who?
The elite, the edge ones, the
people that like outrageous automobiles that got more money than brains, right? That's who he got. And then he ended up with this pile of money, and out of which he built, I don't remember the models he has, but he built the next model down. Let's say it was 85,000, and now he's got a $35,000 deal, and that's the strategy. By the way, that's exactly the strategy used by Hyundai. Hyundai introduces, in his case, the little teeny kind of commodity things, and then now he dominates the world. He's every single port you go to, you're going to see Hyundai cranes there nowadays.
Now, my understanding with Tesla, though, was that was born out of necessity because he had the idea and he had the know-how, but he didn't have the money to be able to produce them. So he pre-sold his highest, most expensive, highest profit vehicles first to the bleeding edgers so that he could create enough revenue to be able to build the business, which is obviously quite brilliant.
And it's copyable.
As a marketing strategy, though, you really want to think about this because whether he intended it or not, you go outrageous, you attract these people that are the rich and famous that we all kind of sort of wish we could be. So now everybody's watching all of those rich and famous people get to drive like the awesome Elon Musk car. And then the next thing you know, they're like, well, you could have this it's like the difference between the Bentley and the Chrysler 300. Same exact car, except the Chrysler 300 costs 20 grand and you can drive it around, right? So that's kind of brilliant, actually.
It is. How do you have a way that you break people into thinking about this? Because I know it is a very creative process, and most entrepreneurs are so stuck in, I do this and this is the way I do it. And some of them try to niche down and they do horribly. So for example, for us, we are a digital marketing agency, but we only work with clients that have Infusionsoft. But our clients don't give a crap that we use Infusionsoft or whatever, unless they already have it, in which case we're a godsend. But how would you work with somebody, anybody, to be able to break into that preeminence kind of thinking?
So, and I used kindergarten earlier. So a lot of times, so step one really is mindset. You've got to, in simple terms, being brutal, you got to lose your mind and then grow a brand new one. If you try to kind of tweak your current thinking, it won't work. So you got to break free. So the more outrageous you're able to be, the better. So new clients will say to me, Bill, I don't know how to be outrageous. You know, I'm 56 years old and I've been running this business that I bought from my dad. And I'll say, well, Beth, I know you used to be in kindergarten. Oh yeah, but that was different. I said, how is that different, Beth? Oh, I get it. All right, I'd want to be blank. And then the more outrageous that vision can be, the better. The thing about a vision is you never want to have a vision of the future that anybody can ever hold you accountable for. In other words, if you say, I see, my vision is that tomorrow it's going to be raining, and then tomorrow comes and it's not raining, that won't work. So you'll say, my vision is 5 years from now, on a Monday morning, it's going to be raining. Now, then tomorrow, you just change that and say, well, I've been thinking about it. And I really believe now, with my new 1 day's worth of insight, that it's going to probably be on Tuesday. And then another gaze about it. You know what? Hey, come on, everybody, come on in. I had this brainstorm last night, and I'm envisioning lightning storm. Wow. What all those kinds of verbalizations of what you're thinking so far in the future, and nobody will ever get there. And you're always using it as a lure. And if you use these words and verbalizations as lures, you'll attract to you people that want to help, and you'll repel people that think you're a crazy case. Is exactly what you want. You don't want anybody around you that's ever going to say, nah, that thinking ain't going to work. You can't create weather. And you'll say, watch me. So that's kind of the step one. It's just inventing a new, creating a new mind out of thin air. And the more outrageous it is, the better.
I am so happy because this is what, like, you're speaking my language, Bill, right? Like Jenny's like, oh my God. I'm like, validation. There was a Facebook conversation going on. One of my clients had put out there, not really sure why. It was like, hey, I'm really kind of trying to figure out how to niche. Should it be this, or should it be that, or should it be the other thing? And I teach this double click thing where you pick a noun and then you pick a subcategory. So let's just say we're going to do moms. Well, they could be single moms. They could be moms of twins. They could be church school moms, homeschool moms, daycare moms, right? You take a mom and then you double click on something more narrow. So he was putting all these things, and somebody goes, you need a broader niche. And I was like, dumbass. Like, the definition of niche is a narrow entry. Like, you need a broad niche, like the Grand Canyon. So, it is super important. And the more narrow, and then the more outrageous the promise, the more exciting the brand is. So,
right. Narrow niche, big vision. See, so the vision could be, I see a day when everybody that's 36 years old has orange hair. Nobody can disprove that concept. I mean, because you're seeing a day. I see a day down the road, a couple of decades, when everybody looks like this. All right, well, that's your business to have that. But there are people who will think, that makes sense. And those are the people that are going to come and help you with your Facebook ads. They're going to come and help you with your strategy. We're going to come and help you figure out confusion stuff.
No, we just do it for you. Don't even bother figuring it out. Just hire that out.
Yeah, you'll just do it for you.
Done for you, baby, all the way.
Yes, that's a beautiful, but actually what you said is absolutely spot on. You want to say to people, and I'm sure you do, is don't worry about it. I want you, if you value your time more than money, because I'll save you all kinds of time. I'll take this huge complex piece of software and you don't have to worry about it. All you have to do is show up in the morning, you'll have a stack of leads sitting on the desk.
Exactly. That's the way we like it. So let's talk about getting those stacks of leads is one thing, but scaling a company to me is fundamentally different. And it's the difference between eating a lot and bodybuilding. That's two totally different things. So when you're looking at scaling a company, what are you looking for in that business to be able to go, yes, this business is scalable?
First, leg one, if you will, is this mindset of spectacular, dreaming big, if you will. Step two, though, is that the business absolutely must be systematized. It must be a machine that's well-oiled, fine-tuned, and operates at a high level. And when I say that, I don't mean a Facebook ad system. I'm talking about a management system at the highest level so that you can walk into your place of business. Hopefully we can again, walk into your place of business and look around and say, everybody here is taking action that's connected to my vision. They're not doing random acts. They're all connected to my vision and my strategy and my annual plan and the monthly goals we have in place and the individual commitments everybody made. And I, the owner, can look at that and say, we have a fine-tuned machine. And once that's in place, then you, the owner, can step back. This is my invention. To some extent, people argue about it. But there are 4 phases. Phase 1 is you and the business are exactly the same thing. It's just you and the business. It's the same. Second phase is it's you, and you may have some staff, but the staff's there to kind of augment you. They're people you delegate your stuff to, but it's still your stuff. You got people helping you out. Phase 3 is when you start becoming independent of the business, meaning that the business can operate without you. And until you get there, you've got no chance whatsoever of scaling. So once you get there and you can say, you know what? I don't have to be here every day. I can go snowshoeing. I can check in ever so often because I've built a machine. And then part 3 of this, to get there, you've got to have a high-powered team of A players. So a mindset of preeminence, a system of management, and then third leg of Scaleology is a high-performance team. I don't mean just team members. I mean the very best you can find that'll take your job at your price. Those are A players, and you'll probably pay 120, 150% more for somebody like that, and they'll produce 200, 300, 500% more. It's a bargain to hire super top talent. Just like, you, Michelle, just like people, you're an extension of them. You're not their direct employer, you're a contractor, but you're an A player that know this software product cold. So why in the world would they ever want to learn it, for goodness sakes, and try to figure it out on their own? But many, many, many business owners try to do it all themselves. They'll have a one share beauty salon, and they do everything, every single thing. Well, they're not going to scale. So until you get to stage 3, which is you're independent from the business, then you can move to stage 4, which is virtually vertical scaling. And I've done it long enough and have seen so many successes that it's always that same pattern, those 4 stages and then scale.
Yeah, I was going to say you're preaching the choir because I brand the 4 S's, and it's always system, strategies, state of support, and state of mind. And I hear you saying the exact same thing. I have a curious question though, is I know that you help people do it faster, but a lot of people I've talked to want to be able to bypass certain stages and just go into the scaling part. I just want to be an independent of my business and have it run on my own. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, so I have, I've got kind of 4 tiers of services that I have from my client base. So top tier are, I just loosely call them private clients. And these are people that I've dealt with kind of like envision a retainer. So I'm on retainer. I'm the temporary chairman of the board. I come in, I meet with the team once a month, and they pay me month after month after month after month. I've had those for a long time. The next level down is what you're speaking to, and it's the people that want the solution now. Well, the system that I have, this business mastery system, you don't have to know anything about it at all. It still works just as well. You can be totally ignorant of how it's working, but it works. And what's great about it, Michelle, is that people can, in literally 1 month, month and a half, have the system up and running, full speed, producing results. By results, I mean, if this particular offering of mine costs $12,500. So for $12,500, you can get the system going, convert your company into a 24/7 cash producing machine, meaning that within 2 months for sure, you'll get that $12,500 back, and you'll get it again the next month and the next month and the next month. And that makes people pretty happy. And so they tend to keep paying me month after month after month.
Which is how we like it, right? Satisfaction over and over and over again. Bill, I do the interesting question for me, and I'm working with companies a little bit earlier than Michelle does in a lot of ways, right? They're coming in and they're sort of maybe experts that have been doing one-on-one, and their time allows them to handle 3 or 4 clients, and then because they're doing a lot of done for you and they're not outsourced, like they don't have a team. And the thing that motivates them, the wake up call for them is, holy crap, I just lost my 60% client. So I had a 60%, a 15, a 15, and a 10, and my 60% just took a dive. So now I'm going to not be able to pay the bills. So they come to me and they say, I need a one-to-many solution. I need an evergreen solution. I need a solution that translates this genius into some sort of one-to-many process where I don't have to work this hard. And when I work one-on-one, I can charge a lot more money. So it's really that conversion. The most interesting conversation I have, and I'd love for you to address this, is I say to them, what's the end game for this business? And they'll say, like, I just want a one-to-many. And I'm like, are you building to sell? Are you building to license? Are you why are you building this business? And what's the end game? What's the exit strategy? And my experience is most people are like, exit strategy, I'm going to work till I'm in the grave. So how often do you have to deal with people, like when people come to you, where are they in that process? Like, when was the realization, like, oh my gosh, if I don't fix this scale and get out of the way, this business is not going to be a thing anymore, which is what happened to my dad. Like, my dad would not let go. And now the business, this amazing business that he built and worked in and toiled in, and my brother worked and sweat in, and now there's no business. And my brother was left without a legacy because my dad had no plan.
Sadly, I've heard that story many, many, many times, but not your story, but the same story. So I think what a lot of people don't really focus in on is, if you look at any industry, any niche, there's a bell curve there flowing from the left over to the right. And so the middle is what we talked about earlier. That's the standards, industry standards. They're in the middle. It's the average company. That's what they do. Then over here on the left-hand side, those people are brand new, or they're failing or whatever, but they're the outliers. And over here on the right-hand side are the people that are operating at a very elite level. So what happens is people get some of these notions in their mind about focusing on the present, and they don't look ahead. Now, everybody doesn't have to sell their business. Some people actually like to maybe work until their fingers no longer function, and they end up tipping over and falling into the hole in the ground. So none of us, nobody listening to us should think that whatever in the world you do, it's going to fit everybody, because people have different things. So you can't say this solution fits it all. Back to this idea of a niche. I think one of the in Virginia, one of the illustration you gave is, I think a lot of people, what they'll do, they'll get themselves in a jam by they'll take their super expertise, which in your case was one-on-one coaching, and then they'll try to offer something to be for the masses, and they'll bundle it for, let's say, $197, and includes 3 months of one-on-one coaching for an hour. And they've completely, I guess I can use the word bastardized, their own business by giving away a high value something for free. That's why I preach to people, use the Tesla model, start at the high price, and then keep it there, this 60% thing, and then start layering down. So you say, okay, I can't have everybody one-on-one, so what can I do for a little bit less money and attract more people? Maybe group coaching. Okay, good. Now we got that model. And then price that properly. And finally, at the end, you'll get down to what people call evergreen, or one for many and things. These are the $200, $400, $500 maybe online training programs. But don't start there, for goodness sakes, because the tendency is because there's all these gurus out there, internet marketing people particularly, and they'll say you have to have this value stack. So you're going to sell this thing for $19.97, and then you're going to add this worth $145 million. Then you add this one worth $3 billion. Then you add, right? Jenny, you've seen that many times. And so that is completely crazy and stupid. Don't add anything onto what you're selling, and price it properly. But at the end of the day, don't give up that one-on-one coaching thing, but just always. I have a friend of mine, his name's James Balanchek, and he's got a little slogan that says ABM, always be marketing. Or the flip side of that is, don't always be producing. Make sure you save some time, book it off to be marketing.
Well, and I think the real key to all of that is, don't confuse marketing with selling. First of all, marketing is calling your tribe home. It's calling the sheep, like, come on. And when you're calling your sheep, you don't want goats. You want, if you're calling goats, you want goats. If you're calling dolphins, you want dolphins, right? Like, oh, look, I have these fish and here's all these goats, right? And then you can't figure out why this is a problem. So I think there's that sense. And then the begin with the end in mind, right? Like, what's the exit strategy, and whatever that is, at least have thought about the fact that you're going to need one, and what might that look like as you're working to exit out of your business, in terms of the day-to-day, and spending time being the face, right? Like being the
right. Well, that's another form of vision. Now, you don't have to have one. So you can have the vision for the company, and then what you're talking about really is a vision for yourself. Where do you see yourself? That should be a vision. There are different stakeholders in that one. That'd be probably your family, at least yourself, and then your family. And you may or may not want to share that sort of thing with your employees or staff or contractors about your idea of selling your business to somebody in 3 years. But that needs to be yours. You need to know, basically the direction. Otherwise, everything's going to be a random walk.
So the question I have is, we've got some people who are listening to this now, and they find themselves in the middle of what you just said, absolutely not to do, right? Start by selling the $7 thing. I'm going to sell 1,000,000 $7 things, right? Instead of flipping it around. What's the first step they take to instead jump to that $175,000 Tesla model that they have? What's the first thing they're going to do?
The first thing for all of us to do, and I think it should be done annually, is just to always think that most of us have developed expertise. So we've got expertise that's very valuable. And I sometimes label it the expert's curse, which what I mean by that is that a lot of people will think, because I know, I'm using Michelle's business as an example here. I know Infusionsoft so well, it seems so easy. Everybody must know that. Not true. People don't know that. And so each of our listeners need to think, I'm an expert. I've got some knowledge which other people don't have. $700, $700 products. How many of those do you need for somebody that might pay you $7,000? So find that price and then don't dilute your lower price products with these low price offerings. I like to have people think about their customers. Now, Virginia's going to jump on me on this one, I know. I like to call it a customer journey. So you're taking somebody over here, you know how to get there. You want to go down this journey and all these things, A to Z, let's say, or 1 to 100. Well, maybe the thing that you can sell for $7 is step 18. That's fine. You can go ahead and sell step 18. Just make sure it's just step 18. And then there's another 99 things you can sell for $7 to that same person. The key is not that you don't have to sell $7 products, but don't pack it with stuff to dilute what you could sell for $700 or $7,000 or $70,000.
I think a lot of times, Jenny, to answer the question is when you're starting out. I mean, I remember starting out 10, 11 years ago, and I couldn't pay people $97 to I had to bribe them with lunch. They wouldn't pay me. I couldn't pay them to come and spend the afternoon. And I remember, April was the same way. And Chris Robinson, who's now the president of the John Maxwell Training Organization, 7 years ago, we were all pitching in to buy lunch and trying to get 10 people in a room so we could present, because we had really not thought through or discovered or uncovered or created our value. And it is a complete and utter total mindset, because whatever you've experienced in your life has value. I got an email the other day and somebody wanted me to pay $997 to appear on their podcast. And I was just like, that's funny. I don't pay to speak. I get paid to speak, right? But 10 years ago, I was, doing everything I could just to get an audience in the room. So I think there's something to be said for, you've got to sell the $7 thing, and then you've got to create the $17 thing, and you've got to sell the $27. You've got to ratchet it up. But the other thing is where most people, and I don't know if you see this, my experience is most people are like, okay, all right, I need eyeballs. Okay, now I got to engage the eyeballs. So I need a lead magnet. Okay, I spent $3,000. I got a lead magnet. I don't know if it converts or not, but it's a magnet. So it leads. That's good. Okay, and then I need a course. Okay, so I'm going to take a course on coursing, and then I'm going to make a course. And then by the time you get done, you're 18 months down the road, and you are $50,000 in credit card debt with absolutely zero income. And I'm like, why don't we just do a group coaching program? Why don't we just bring a bunch of people in and say, what do you want to know? And create it. And to this day, I co-create everything we do. We just had a retreat last weekend, and I was like, guys, I have a problem. And I let the people in the group, I was like, can you solve my problem? So they solved the problem. We created a template, and I'm like, yay, I have a better program now. But they all feel really good about it, but they paid me to, So I think there's an idea here with what you were talking about, which I like to bring this whole thing full circle, is who is so enthralled with your vision that they want to pay you to get to create it with you. They want to pay to go on the safari.
Pay to go on safari. Excellent.
Right. They want to pay to go on the safari, but they're okay. Gathering the wood and building the fire and actually pitching the tents. They're doing all the work, and you're like, yep, tent goes over there. Great. Fire goes over here. Stew pot. Yeah, we're going to need some scorpions. Somebody go get some of those. Right. They're totally happy to pay you to go co-create this experience together. And that is really to me, it's a big part of what we're talking about in terms of grabbing scale. So guys, we're coming to our close. We got about 3 minutes left. So I know, Michelle, right? So Bill, we want to honor what you had to say today. We're going to do takeaways. So Michelle, takeaway.
Excellent. I am just super stoked. Strategies, support, state of mind. You got to have them, focus on them. And annually, and especially if your business is churning and burning and you're pivoting, then you got to do it more often.
Jenny, takeaway.
Yeah. I think the biggest takeaway for me was the start with your start with your big your preeminent product, your preeminent service, getting that out there and figuring out what's your $175,000 Tesla.
I love it. And Bill, for me, it's narrow niche, outrageous vision. Right? Narrow niche, outrageous vision. And interestingly, the three of us got together because we are so damn outrageous. And when we got together to do a summit, people said, "Oh, Virginia, you're going to let go all your credibility." And I was like, "I don't care. I'm going to have fun." And we had so much fun. And it was like best summit ever. That was what everybody had to say. And that's what birthed the podcast. So thank you for all the validation. Last word of advice for our listeners who are building businesses, and how can we get in touch with you?
So two things. One, you don't have to actually sell that Tesla. So what I'm saying is you want to be able to verbalize what this Tesla is. Somebody may say, "Here's my check for $175,000," but that's okay. They know that you have this high value super offer available. So I encourage everybody listening, do that. Number two, Virginia, because you're a persuader, I created a outrageous gift for our listeners. And so what it is, it's I've took one of my $400 products, which I have a collection of them, and I put it on a certain page, and it's free for everybody that's listening here. And it's going to be there for however much time you guys have this video available. And all you need to do is go to getbillsgift.com, getbillsgift.com, and they'll get their hands on that free course.
What?
You're welcome.
We're so excited to have had you on here, Bill Prater. And I'm going to give you this one last shout out. As the lady who connects the people she meets to the people that they need to know on a regular basis. True story. You sent me over to Tom Poland. Tom Poland and I had a meeting. He sent me over to Dove Gordon. Dove Gordon and I had a meeting. And Dove introduced us to Sam Silverstein, who is our next guest today, our next recording guest today. But the big kicker is that then I joined Dove's JVMM, and Danny Eny just emailed me today, and he has been on my my listy. Like Jenny just interviewed Jack Canfield for a summit that she's up, but like Danny Eny's on my hot tamale list, and he emailed me because of you. So
you are welcome.
So listeners, if you are not out there following Bill Prater and you are not out there getting Bill's gift at getbillsgift.com, well, you're stupid. Like you just need, just to be, well, it's in my nature. So that's just how it goes. So thank you, Bill, for being on the podcast. Bad girls, let's go give them some sass.
Thank you for listening to the Bad Girls on Business podcast. Don't forget to check the show notes for any links mentioned in this episode and for additional contact information about the guest or our hostesses. If this show got you going, we'd love to hear about it when you subscribe, rate, and review the show on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Can't get enough of the direct sales dom, the referral diva, or your mistress in business? The Bad Girls have hidden their gift for you at badgirlsonbusiness.com. When you find the Easter egg, use the password BGOB to unlock your treasure chest of goodies.